John Harbaugh just got fired, and I honestly think the writing's been on the wall for a while now. The last 4 years have been pretty disappointing with the constant collapses in the playoffs. The Ravens just haven't been able to reach that next level, even though they have an MVP level quarterback. Now, I'm not saying that's all on Harbaugh. The roster is getting older, players are leaving, coaches are leaving, even the front office members are getting taken by other teams because of how well the Ravens draft. But at the end of the day, a coach's job is to elevate the roster, and John Harbaugh hasn't been doing that as of recently. So I completely understand firing him, even though he's one of the longest tenured coaches in the league. And if reports that Harbaugh and Lamar's relationship was completely severed are true, then you can't choose the middling coach over the elite quarterback. I don't care how long he's been around. I know I use the word middling, but I do believe that Harbaugh is a good coach. I mean, that's unrefutable. The thing about him is that he cannot ensure that either side of the ball is taken care of from a play calling standpoint. And that leads me to my main point. Coaches that don't call plays cannot have success at the highest level of the sport. What's good, y'all? Welcome back. You already know what the video is about. This is Casual Takes. I'm your host, LJ. Make sure you like, comment if you have anything you disagree with, subscribe if you mess with the content. Let's get right into it. There's several reasons that a locker room style coach, culture setter, or CEO type coach, whatever you want to call them, have a limited ceiling in today's NFL. Now, the first one is the guys who actually call the plays, the coordinators. Sometimes you just hire the wrong guy, as we've seen with Zach Orr for the Ravens, Kevin Patullo for the Eagles, and both coordinators for the Lions. They just weren't good. And sometimes the coordinator is good, but he's just not the right fit for the roster. Look at the 49ers in 2023, for example. They had a phenomenal roster, and Steve Wilks, who's a good coordinator, he just didn't fit what the Niners like to do. The Niners are an aggressive, bump and run, man coverage heavy team, whereas Steve Wilks likes to force underneath completions. That's just not really the Niners game. And so the defense wasn't bad that year, but it was disappointing, and Wilks was let go after just 1 year. And as a CEO style coach, there's a higher likelihood you're going to get it wrong when you have to pick two coordinators that call plays instead of just one. The next problem with coordinators, which in my opinion is even worse than just being bad, is they end up being too good, and they're more impactful than the CEO style coach that they came from. Just to list a few, first of all, we have Mike McDonald, who's the best defensive coach in the NFL right now. He came from John Harbaugh's Ravens, and we just saw John Harbaugh lose his job. You got Matt LaFleur, one of the best play callers in the league offensively. He came from Mike Vrabel's Titans. Mike Vrabel ends up getting fired a couple years later. And Vrabel's good, as we all know. He has the Patriots looking like how they look right now. But at the end of the day, the guy who's calling the plays on offense is just more valuable to me. I'm not finished though. We got Kellen Moore, who came from two CEO-style head coaches, Nick Sirianni and Mike McCarthy. McCarthy is out of a job now, and Sirianni is extremely polarizing. I personally don't think he's very good. Anyways, back to Kellen Moore though. He has the Saints, who were hopeless just 6 months ago, looking like they can make some noise in the NFC South next year, which, I mean, as we know, that's the worst division in football. But still, to have that major of a turnaround in just a few months is huge for any organization. And even with Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson, the guys in the thumbnail, don't get me wrong though, Dan Campbell's a phenomenal coach, but Ben Johnson has proved to be even more impactful this year with the Bears than Dan Campbell has been with the Lions. I mean, it's not rocket science. Just look at the playoffs. The Lions are not in the playoffs. The Bears are in the playoffs. I really do think it's that simple. So whether it's losing great play callers or hiring bad ones, being a coach that doesn't call plays puts you at a detriment when it comes to filling out your coaching staff. When I say this style of coach has a limited ceiling, what I mean is that they can make a mediocre roster good. Hell, they could even make a bad roster good. But they cannot elevate a good roster in a Super Bowl contention. Take Nick Sirianni, for example. He led the Eagles to multiple Super Bowls while he had a legit super team. They lose a couple pieces on the O-line, they lose their offensive coordinator, and now the Eagles look just as flawed as the rest of the teams in the NFC playoff picture. Compare this to Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers, who've been dealing with roster depletion for a while now. They had an average to maybe even below average defense and didn't even have their quarterback half the season and still barely missed a beat. I know you fantasy owners remember, weeks 4 and 5, Kendrick Bourne and Mac Jones out there looking like Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. Those are two guys that got cut by the Patriots 2 years ago. The Patriots were terrible. They had the number 3 overall pick. Those guys get cut, go to the 49ers, and they're balling out. It's not a coincidence. As hard as I've been going on these guys, they still have a place in the league. The John Harbaughs, Dan Campbells, and Mike Vrabels of the world are valuable, specifically to teams that have been in poverty for a long time, like the Browns or the Jets. When searching for the next offensive or defensive guru doesn't work, you need to start going back to the guys that are going to put a culture in place so your poverty franchise can start winning. It's kind of like how people say the first law of holes. If you find yourself in a hole, the first thing you have to do is stop digging. That's kind of the philosophy I have with these style of coaches. They'll take the shovel away from you, get you out of the hole, and will even get you a foundation. But a coach that calls plays is what's going to build you a house on that foundation. That's about it, though. Shout out to the RTB Bowl, especially Adam and Adrian for giving me this idea. Shout out to Ty, just because, that's my guy. Like, what? If you're from Chafee and you're listening to this, thank you very much. The Ray, if you're hearing this right now, leave a comment. You feel me? That's about it, though. I'm back. I'm better. It's my most well thought out video. My most original idea that I've had. Yeah, if you're listening to my voice right now, make sure you subscribe. I don't really got much else to say. I'm out. Peace.